The Wolf of Wall Street is a biopic of Jordan Belfort, a stockbroker at Wall Street that amassed unbelievable amounts of wealth. This Martin Scorsese movie explores the themes of greed and excess from the point of view of a man that chased all sorts of worldly pleasures. This isn't just a story of a man losing his soul, but becoming the snake that hides within the bushes. This is an analysis of how Wolf of Wall Street perfectly showcases the temptation of sin, and you're watching the man of movies. The movie starts off with an advertisement of Stratton Oakmont. What we will get throughout this movie will be a marketable story about the lavish life of Jordan Belfort. This is followed by Jordan narrating about himself, and what better way to start off the scene than throwing dwarfs onto a giant dartboard. From this very first scene, we can see that this is an arrogant, self-centered man that gets his way every time. His journey starts off as an ambitious man that is looking to climb the corporate ladder in Wall Street. This is when we get the famous scene of Jordan Belfort and Mark Hanna. Here, Mark represents the life that Jordan wants, and Mark makes it very clear from early on what this entails. It is a life that requires one to give in to their worldly desires, as the lack of it could cause someone to implode. Here, Mark acts like a mentor trying to teach Jordan the way of this world, and we can see that there are some conflicts. When Mark offered alcohol, Jordan sticks to drinking water, showing a clear difference between them. When speaking about clients, Jordan made the grave mistake of ensuring that they profit from their investments. This is when Mark gives Jordan a choice. On the one hand, Jordan can live on as a regular stockbroker that helps clients with rational investments and makes decent money with it. Or he could use them like his own personal bank accounts to help fund a life of excess. This is the first temptation presented to Jordan, and he makes a choice. He starts humming to the chest thumping sound and sets his life in one direction. This scene will again be very important by the end of the movie, which we will analyze later on. From this, we get to see the rise of Jordan in the business world. When he loses his job, we think that he is going to have a life of hardship for at least a little while, but this is not the case. He starts out again from the ground with a small job that is responsible for selling penny stocks. This is when we see the lessons of Hannah in practice. Jordan here scams vulnerable people like truck drivers who buy stocks more or less like lottery to further his ambition. By selling junk with absolutely no value, he realized something that he can create demand for a product that does not deserve it. In a sense, he is not just a middleman anymore, but the provider of value and happiness. By doing so, the poison spreads and inspires those he works with. This is also the moment of realization for Jordan that he can be far greater than even Hannah ever was, which directly leads us into the cult like following that Jordan was able to command in such short time. In fact, much like the story of any prophet, people around Jordan are enamored by the value Jordan brings. When Donnie sees Jordan for the first time, he is immediately convinced to quit his job and follow the path that Jordan took. Similarly, he recruits many others, and this recruitment always starts with one move. He asks them to sell him a pen. He is teaching them to be as good as him, and the only way to do that is to sell a part of themselves with it. They must sell the other parts they could have taken as an opportunity cost, the value they may have once had, and even the relationships they made. Jordan, however, is able to fulfill their wishes, but unbeknownst to them, this is short lived. When we look at an example like Kimmy, who was facing certain financial ruin, was lifted from her misery by Jordan. Due to this, she cannot help but be moved to tears when he reveals that he will be leaving the business. This cultish worship they have towards him makes them lose all sense of individuality. In this scene where Jordan gives his speech, we see an army of stockbrokers that dress and act all the same. They all identify themselves as senior managers or other managerial positions when speaking to clients. There is always a layer of lies and deceit with these individuals. Furthermore, they lose any sense of camaraderie that they would have had with their fellow employees as they constantly mistreat each other. They all survive by establishing dominance over one another. In the same scene, when Jordan decides not to quit after all, his whole office chants with him as though he is their messiah. He even refers to them as his warriors and tells them to sell for him and be rewarded for it. He does not just claim that money is useful, but that money makes you a good person. It allows you to perform charity or invest in politicians that will change society how you want. Money is a necessity for imposing your desires on this world. He equips them with a mission to chase their most primal instincts, and in doing so, his kingdom will be strengthened. When speaking about Jordan's kingdom, it is only right to talk about how well the Stratton Oakmont office mirrors the idea of hell. This may not be a fiery pit where people suffer eternally, but it is an echo chamber of greed and excess. Here, there is always loud music, strippers, and even drugs. There is no shortage of worldly pleasures. The hedonistic pleasures they seek only causes perpetual degeneracy. Here, people are always numb with the amount of psychoactive substance they use on the daily. They leave their homes with families to come into a place where they can sleep with whoever they like. The movie starts off with mildly weird behavior, where they are buying exotic animals or betting within the office, but the competitiveness in this office makes it so that this spirals down completely. We even see a guy breaking the office down with a hammer due to how unchecked the employees were. This just shows that the worship of money and the praise of hedonism is self destructive. It gets so bad that in order to stabilize the office, there are areas where no sexual activities are permitted, but even these were rarely followed. This progression of degeneracy can be seen when Jordan talks to his father, and we as the audience see where he gets it from. His father permits all of these behaviors, but is not as low as Jordan. Especially when they talk about women, there is a clear distinction between the two. That even though his father did allow for cheating and objectification of women, he clearly understood that Jordan is out of control. This is a trend we see within the office as well. The office becomes so unhinged that even the smallest acts of goodness and service is seen as destructive. When an employee was cleaning out his fishbowl and tending to his pet fish, both Jordan and Donnie saw that as bringing down the competition and hunger in the employees around him. We even see that an employee ends his own life after being married to one of their own, showing that complete involvement with their business in this environment is going to destroy you. However, his rise does not come without a warning. As though divine intervention, the market collapses as soon as he joins his first job, and he is given an opportunity to course correct. This is seen when his wife shows him some of the other jobs that were available to him, but he stays adamantly onto this. This is a pattern for Jordan, like when he was stuck in sea with high tides or given the chance to rat out his associates, he simply cannot give this life up. Especially with the FBI agent that approached him, Jordan could not handle the idea of someone being above him. This is when his primary sin shifts. What was once led by greed and lust now shifted to pride. All his accomplishments led him to this outcome, but he believes that he always has the upper hand in any negotiation. He believes that he is the one to give the offer and nobody can refuse. His world comes shattering down when his ego becomes a reason for his downfall. The FBI agent is persuaded to go after him due to Jordan's attempt to bribe the officer. He makes the serious mistake of believing that he understands everyone. When he talks to the officer about how underpaid and overworked he is, Jordan assumed that they all worship money, just like himself. Even though he may be right to some extent, the agent still took the high ground and did not accept it. This just showcases how Jordan's life has been a perpetual cycle of looking over the warning signs and going further down the deep end. All this to say, his journey ends with him still relatively comfortable and happy. He had to pay for his crimes and lose his family, but he still retires as a successful man. In the end, when he asks the crowd to sell him the pen, it is directly questioning us as the viewer who do in some aspect worship individuals like him. Just like the start of the movie, the ending is also meant to sell you on this man and this personality. It is a question to the viewer whether we will also sell our own integrity to idolize material possession. It is a great movie that tests the audience on whether they can resist the devil's temptation. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.